Hello and welcome, friends, once again to Concert Conversations. Our deepest thanks to Chris Connolly and Wells Fargo Advisors for their support of this series and for giving us an opportunity to think a little bit about Masterworks concerts that we are looking forward to enjoying. And I have to tell you, as I introduce our guest today, Maestro Mark Russell Smith, music director and conductor of the Quad City Symphony Orchestra, that Maestro, I'm really looking forward to the December program because it's it would be my own personal playlist of great hits. Thank you for putting it together.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about this Masterworks position in the season, because this is an opportunity to hear the symphony in a little bit different light, right? And to hear some works that are somewhat thematic around, December, winter, that sort of stuff, and yet really give us a sense of the multifaceted abilities of the ensemble.
Right. Well, I mean, you touched some important points there. Um, just for kind of logistical, practical reasons, our December concerts have, over the years, over the past few years, have become kind of smaller chamber concerts, mainly because Centennial Hall isn't available because of the big Christmas presentation at Augustana, and so we take we make lemonade out of lemons, as they say. It's actually, to be at the Bartlett Center is really wonderful, and it's just a different audience experience. So the Sunday audience, can really have a up close, intimate experience with the orchestra, and so it gives us a chance to explore different repertoire for smaller orchestra or pieces that were written, well, it depends, but generally earlier speaking for smaller orchestras. And so over the course of 6 concerts, we absolutely try to bring variety of all sorts of nationalities, of underrepresented composers, of size of orchestra, of concertos versus symphonies, blah blah blah. And so this is yet another just great excuse to explore kind of different avenues of the repertoire. So I enjoy it very much, and the players, it's different playing a Bruckner symphony than it is a Haydn symphony or a Vivaldi work, and so it just gives us a chance to explore different rep and for the audience as well.
Well, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But first, we want to remind our audience that Saturday night will still be at the Adler Theater in Davenport. You can find out all the details and additional extras if you go to qcso.org. But we're going to open and close with a Haydn symphony, which I
Right.
find fascinating. And even with
Right.
two of them, we'll have heard less than 1.9% of the 106 symphonies that
Right.
Haydn wrote.
Right. No,
Uh,
it's Haydn is such an amazing artist, such an amazing composer. And I've conducted a ton of Haydn symphonies, but there's hundreds that or not quite 100, but there's 80s that I haven't or haven't even opened the score to. And so basically it's just an embarrassment of riches as far as choices from Haydn. And you can honestly, you can just like open up a score to any one, number 1 through 104, and they're just surprises and delights and innovations, and each one is different, which is remarkable. I mean, there's no, there are no two Haydn symphonies that are the same at all. And so to be able to kind of pick and choose, and just like this 96 is one I've never done before, and so really intentionally, even in my advanced years, I super intentionally choose Haydn symphonies that I haven't done yet, just because, again, there's just one surprise after another waiting for you, and it's just great to be able to experience something new from Haydn, and that's what you always get.
Well, and I get a little bit of a story here. Back in the 80s, I had a music show on WVIK. It was Sunday morning, and I asked Don Wooten what I should play. He simply said something Baroque-ish, and then he walked away. But what was nice is the station had a complete collection of the Erato. It's a French label of the vinyl of every one of the Haydn symphonies. And I always knew I could just randomly pull one off and I'd have 25 to 30 minutes of exceptional Sunday morning music. But I think it's interesting. We're going to start with Symphony number 30 in C major, the Alleluia, and then, as you mentioned, close with the Symphony number 96 in D major, the Miracle. From your perspective, will we as listeners hearing them in such close proximity, will we gather some sense for any evolution in Haydn's music?
Yeah, a little. I mean, the Alleluia is, based on loosely based on, chants or kind of, kind of the song. And it's short. I mean, it's really chosen. It's because it's kind of a curiosity just because it's so short, 3 movements, and most Haydn symphonies are 4 movements, and so this, and so yeah, certainly the counterpoint and the development and the late Haydn symphonies are more of everything than the early Haydn symphonies are, just because he developed, he had at Esterhazy just had the great privilege of having musicians at his beck and call, and so he could innovate and try stuff and try counterpoint and try different orchestrational things, and there are just all sorts of intrigues that for sure later in his compositional life, things got more complicated or got, yeah, it's different. It's definitely a different sound world. So yes, I think a listener would perceive that.
Well, I want to keep skipping along because remember, friends, this is just a little appetizer. We welcome you to come an hour before concert time and we get a chance to chat in greater depth with Maestro about the program. But the second work we'll hear is Arcangelo Corelli's Concerto Grosso number 6, known as the Christmas Concerto.
Right.
And I don't know how this has ever been performed by this symphony before.
I don't know.
We'll have to look. When the program notes become available, we will check.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
It's a delight. It's another one of those ones that we used to love to feature at WVIK, but to hear it live is really a gift.
For sure. And I think the key, I mean, Corelli, they're again just a handful of great Baroque composers whose style we all love listening to. And so it's a particular approach. It's a particular, very well. I mean, we have to be stylistically aware as players and as musicians, and so we play Haydn differently than we play Corelli, than we play Bruckner, than we play Abels, and so it's just yet another opportunity to delve into a different sound world, a different aesthetic world, and I mean, why it's called Christmas, I don't know. It's really more, I think, of a marketing, ploy by Corelli. I'm not sure exactly what the Christmas element is, but nevertheless, this is, we're in December, and so it's a Christmas concert, and so, I'll take all the tangents I can get.
Well, and it doesn't always have to be about Christmas, because next on the program is one of my all-time favorites. We'll get to hear Antonio Vivaldi's Winter from the Four Seasons. And what gets me about this work every time I hear it is he was Venetian, so northern part of Italy. But the December, January climate there is nowhere near what it is out here on the edge of the prairie. And yet the music speaks to winter. I mean, I don't know how I can disassociate hearing this music from thinking of a frozen lake and
Right.
woods covered in snow. There's just something that's very intense, and it's that winter mix of, yes, it's beautiful, but it could kill you. That tension that's in there.
Right. Well, look, I mean, winter in Venice it's no picnic, I'll tell you. I mean, it's incredibly humid there, and like the cold, while it doesn't, I mean, it does snow and it does freeze, but it's also like, it's kind of a really bone chilling cold and they're not, they don't have, they're used to the warm climate, and so the buildings are all freezing cold and not well insulated. I mean, it's winter in Venice, and I have been there in January, is like, it's not a picnic. So, and of course there was no central heating at that point, and, stone buildings. And so anyway, he's living it. He was definitely living it. But yeah, I mean, it's the picture, the musical pictures are so vivid and teeth chattering and the wind howling, and I mean, there's a lot of imagination there too, as you would want and as you would imagine.
Now, I imagine that for the Corelli and the Vivaldi, will you be conducting from the continuo of the harpsichord?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
But for the Haydn, you'll be.
No, I'll be conducting front. Yeah.
You'll be conducting
I
up
don't know.
front.
I have to decide. I have to decide. I
Okay.
mean, maybe like, and this is yet another, question. Probably early on, the early Haydn symphonies did have a harpsichord playing along.
Yeah.
Later, probably not. It's all conjecture. I mean, it's all educated guessing. So possibly I'll conduct the first one, like the early Haydn symphony from the keyboard. I don't know. I'm still kind of deciding what to do.
Well, but we get a chance to get a little modern after the Vivaldi with the Astor Piazzolla Four Seasons of Buenos Aires,
Right.
specifically winter, which is just a great soundscape. I love the Piazzolla.
Right. Well, and so obviously, it's a takeoff of the Four Seasons, and the Four Seasons have been, the seasons have been of something of interest for composers, not just Vivaldi, but Glazunov and lots of composers have written, around the different times of year. So, I mean, Piazzolla, not originally for violin, actually, I think it was originally for bandion, I think. And so, but it's become a super popular piece. And of course, the pairing is a very natural thing, pairing the Vivaldi with, and this was Naha's idea, our soloist, idea to pair the two together. And so, yeah, it'll be fun and just something very different and yet another different style.
Well, and I really want to thank you for that opportunity, because I think a lot of us will recognize the Vivaldi, having heard it somewhere before, and you'll probably, of course, get all those echoes in the Piazzolla, but to hear them right next to each other, that's going to be a new experience. And,
cool.
I'm grateful to you and Naha Greenholtz, our outstanding concertmaster, for bringing that to us. All right, well, now we're going to stay in the latter centuries with the next work on the program, Ottorino Respighi's Trittico Botticelliano. So, I mean, we're going to be serious. I don't know the piece at all, but I'm assuming it's inspired by Botticelli.
It is. Well, there are three portraits. I mean, this is like pictures at an exhibition for Botticelli. And so Respighi was definitely inspired by there are three, iconic Botticelli portraits, the Venus and the Gift of the Magi. I mean, these are pictures that people recognize, I think. And so, I mean, the key here is the middle movement, as far as the Christmas elements, where it's the Gift of the Magi, I forget the exact name of the Botticelli picture, but it has the Magi kings. And so he uses O Come, O Come, Emmanuel. He uses the chant that many Christians know, the Advent chant, O Come, Emmanuel, and kind of riffs on that a little bit. And so it's a chamber orchestra work, but super colorful, capturing the life of spring. There's primavera, la primavera. So like the dancing and the swirling and all the activity in the Botticelli portrait. And so it's a musical portrayal of these incredible, iconic, Botticelli pictures. And so, it gives great contrast in chamber orchestra concerts like we're having. Finding contrast, finding color contrasts, finding stylistic contrasts is the key, I think, because you don't want just Baroque, you don't want just classical, you want a nice variety. And so this was a really, I love this Botticelli. And I don't know if it's been done in quad or not, but anyway, it's going to be, and it's a really colorful, great, evocative piece.
And then it's going to lead us right back to.
Well, actually, the order is different than.
Oh, the order is different. Okay, well, I'm going on some older material, but but at least I think we've hit all the works that we're going to hear.
We close the first half with the Botticelli portraits.
Okay,
and then the Vivaldi will start the second half. The
wonderful.
Vivaldi and then Haydn ending.
Well, and then let's get to that closing work by Franz Joseph Haydn, the Symphony Number 96. Again, I agree with you. At one level, you could throw a dart at the numbers 1 to 106, and you'd have a winner. But was there something specific about this one, which is subtitled "The Miracle," that got your
Yes,
attention?
the word miracle.
Okay.
That was right, right. That was pretty much it. Because I mean, there's the Christmas miracle, and that's not the miracle that necessarily the symphony is portraying. But if I wanted to do a Haydn symphony because the orchestra does that music so well, and we do a Mozart, we do Haydn, each year because our audiences want to hear it. And so I thought that the tie-in between the Alleluia and Miracle, just I mean, there are 104, or as you said, 106 Haydn symphonies, and there are many which have subtitles, some don't. Actually, most of them don't. But and the subtitles, whatever. There's the Queen. There's they actually he has the seasons also.
Hmm.
There's the clock. There's the bear. There's London. I mean, you could go Oxford. There are all sorts of kind of subtitles, and so maybe it's my personal mission to get through all the subtitled ones. So, but anyway, but the idea of the miracle and the Christmas miracle, that's kind of the tie-in, And so
Remind me, have we done the farewell?
I haven't. I'm sure
Okay.
the orchestra has.
Well, that
I don't think I have. I don't know. I don't think
well,
I've done it in quad.
it,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite Haydn stories because, I mean, first off, you have to picture this person in his times. And if he did live concurrently with Beethoven, but if you stood them side by side, you'd think they were from different universes because Haydn still wore, I think it was the green livery of the Esterhazy, the House of Esterhazy, Prince Esterhazy. And he was a servant and he would dress that way. And then when Esterhazy went to his summer palace, they all had to go. And there was a time when he really didn't want to go back to Vienna, so he stayed longer than he should. So Haydn wrote a special symphony, getting down to just one last instrument playing. And it was his symbol of saying, hey, you got to let us go back home to our families. Every musician, when they would finish their part, they blew out the candle at their music stand, leaving just the last, I think, violinist playing the very end. And I think Esterhazy got the hint. Well, what I'm getting at here is we've got different sensibilities throughout the whole thing, and I really like that. Even though if Vivaldi was maybe a little on the front end ahead of Haydn, he was a very different individual and very flamboyant and very much convinced of his own specialness. He was convinced that being born during an earthquake made him a symbol of a gift of some kind from nature. Do you think about these kinds of personalities when you're prepping for the performance?
Not particularly. I mean, the music speaks to their personalities. Of course, of course, their makeup. You know, the music is what it is because of who they are. So it's I'm being a bit glib, but I don't dwell on it. I really dwell on the character of the music, and and how to bring that to life, and especially in a program like this where there is such differences in style. Classical playing, and these are kind of erudite things, I guess, but very important to us. Baroque music is approached one way, and classical music a different way, and Respighi a different way, and the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires a whole different way. And so it's being good at all those, and being being effective and being stylistically aware and being convincing in all those different styles is the big challenge. And what I love about our musicians is that they totally embrace that, and I think we make Baroque music sound like Baroque music, and we make classical music sound like that, and we kind of take a certain pride in that, not to blow our own horns, but to because it makes a difference for the audience.
Yeah.
It's what like the audience gets engaged with the different character of each piece and the different sound world, and that's what's cool, and that's what we love to do.
Well, the tremendous opportunity of this program in December is, I know that you professionally you're well steeped in the chamber world as well as the orchestral symphonic world. And for us listeners, I will say it's very helpful for us to have a program like this, and then we start to appreciate the wonderful fullness of something like a Bruckner or like that. But as from a musician's perspective, what does it do for you and your colleagues to sort of work between those two worlds, the intimacy and just in your face immediacy of chamber works, and then coming back into the grand landscapes of orchestral works.
Well, I mean, we play Bruckner like chamber music. I mean, we have to. You have to, when you play in an orchestra, I mean, for me, the overriding aesthetic is, I mean, you play it like chamber music. I mean, whatever your role is, no matter how loud, how big, you're always playing with someone. You're accompanying, you're leading, you're doing all these kind of chamber music things, and absolutely it plays a role. I mean, it's just the scale that we're talking about, and yeah, and so like absolutely, we in Quad play Brahms like we play chamber music, or we play Bruckner like we play chamber music, like we play Vivaldi. It's just fewer players and different style and different things, but absolutely everything we do we play with each other, and that's that's just reinforced, and playing in smaller groups just helps reinforce that and just keeps building that culture in the orchestra.
Well, it's a great opportunity. I'm afraid we've run out of time for now, but we look forward to seeing you, friends, December 7th at the Adler Theater, December 8th at the Bartlett Performing Arts Center at Moline High School. All details at qcso.org. But for now, I'd just like to thank our guest, Maestro Mark Russell Smith, for being with us. Look forward to seeing you too, Maestro.
Thank you very much.